For this edition of On the Agenda, I want to talk about transportation projects in Douglasville. Hi, this is City Manager Bill Osborne, and thank you for joining me for today's program. Except for highlighting a couple of road projects when I've done my annual report concerning the top 10 events in the City of Douglasville government for the previous year, I really haven't focused an On the Agenda episode on transportation since December of 2008. At that time, I was presenting a report to you on how we were moving forward with the SPLOST program, the 2002 SPLOST program with our transportation projects. That, of course, SPLOST, Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. Of course, roads have been a key part of the major happenings in Douglasville in recent years. The top 10 lists that I recently presented on City TV, we had, I ranked as number 2 on that list, completion of the road projects in the area of Rose Avenue, Highway 5, I-20. And number 9 on my list was the continuation of the planning work on the Georgia Highway 92 relocation project. In calendar 2009, I ranked the Highway 92 project as number 2 on that list because after 10 years, we could see that we were going down the home stretch of the work that the City of Douglasville needed to do on this massive project before the Georgia Department of Transportation would take over responsibility for final engineering, right-of-way acquisition, and construction. And if you go back to calendar 2008, I ranked the start of the Bright Star Road Connector as number 2 on my list, and the work on Chapel Hill Road as number 8. Well, let's go back to March the 19th, 2002, because that's when the voters of Douglas County approved the levying of a special 1-cent tax for capital projects, special purpose local option sales tax. There was an intergovernmental agreement between the City Council and the Mayor with the Douglas County Board of Commissioners for road projects and for parks and recreation projects. And the transportation part of this was to provide some $13.3 million to the City of Douglasville. Now, in the area of transportation, both the city government and the county government sought to maximize the use of their SPLOST dollars by working with the Georgia Department of Transportation to try to obtain some matching funds, most of these, of course, being federal dollars that were sent to Atlanta from Washington and then to the local governments through GDOT, Georgia Department of Transportation. At this time, we're very close to wrapping up everything from the 2002 Transportation SPLOST program. And as I'll point out during this episode of On the Agenda, most everything that we have done in the past 8 years in transportation in some way has involved SPLOST dollars. Therefore, most of what I'll be reporting to you today will be on SPLOST projects. The one example will be the Bright Star Road Connector project, which was paid for entirely with city funds. Now, let me start by giving you a bottom line from an expenditure standpoint. According to City Finance Director Karen Callan, the projects that have been completed or are being completed by the City of Douglasville with the 2002 road components of the SPLOST program totals $18,888,496. Now, of this amount, the SPLOST dollars, $13,325,150, with the remaining $5.5 million coming primarily from GDOT. Now, if you think back to when there was the heavily traveled Hospital Drive, 2-lane road in great need of improvement, when you go across that road now, traveling probably the speed limit with no problems, it's hard to remember back how this road used to be before the City of Douglasville made it the first major project that we did under the 2002 SPLOST program. This was a $3.7 million improvement project, actually opened to traffic in July 2007. City TV was in its infancy at that time, and when we first went on the air in August of 2007, 3-hour block of time running 4 times a week, the Hospital Drive project was one of the things that we featured. Now, you've heard me talk in the past about the difficulties and the time stretch out with major transportation projects. Certainly that was true with the Hospital Drive project because the city had acquired right-of-way for this widened road some years ago. We actually had gotten engineering work done as a result of a contract with the Georgia Department of Transportation. Then GDOT changed the management right at the top, and they put our project on the shelf. But we were not deterred. We looked for ways, how do we make this project happen? And when the 2002 SPLOST program was being put together, we thought that this was a way that maybe we can resurrect the Hospital Drive project. And of course, that was done. Original cost estimate was $1.2 million, in addition to a pledge we had from the Douglas County Water and Sewer Authority, the WSA, to put a new culvert under the widened road. But as we were getting close to getting ready to bid this project out, construction costs skyrocketed. Concrete prices, asphalt prices went out the roof. And so when we moved forward with this project, we never lost sight of the importance of the project. But what we did see was a tremendous increase in cost. City of Douglasville had to spend $2.4 million in SPLOST funds. That was twice as much as we originally had estimated we would need to do. This project ended up costing $3,690,725. We did get $779,000 from GDOT, $283,000 from WSA for the culvert, and $200,000 from the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. We appreciated that money that we received from the county government, and later in this program I'll tell you about what the city did to assist the county with a couple of its transportation projects. But this project was far more expensive than we thought it would be. But as you travel Hospital Drive today and you think back to how it used to be, I think you would agree with me that it was certainly well worth it. Now, most of you know, as you travel southbound on Chapel Hill Road, from a short distance south of Stewart Mill Road to you get a short distance south of Central Church Road, you're in and out of the city limits of Douglasville. So it was imperative that the Douglas County government, City of Douglasville government work together on whatever would be done on Chapel Hill Road, and this was done. Both governments worked effectively together on this. And as I mentioned earlier, both governments wanted to maximize their SPLOST dollars. And on Chapel Hill Road, we went to the Georgia Department of Transportation to seek a grant to do a comprehensive corridor study on Chapel Hill Road to Stewart Mill Road. And it took a long time to get this grant, finally obtained it. Consultants were employed that did the public input and came up with an overall long-range plan. But this took a long time, and when it was finished, it's a good guide, but we had two major problems with it. One was we saw early on that it was going to take a long time to get this grant from GDOT and to get this study done, and we felt like we needed some relief right now on the Douglas Boulevard, Chapel Hill Road intersection. So the city fathers decided we would proceed to do that even without having any GDOT assistance and GDOT funding in this. We did. A contract for about $360,000 was awarded to put in the concrete medians, to install turn lane improvements, do some drainage modifications, and do some other work to improve this intersection. And it did work. The intersection was much improved, though the city had to pay for all of this because we got no help from any other source. It's a good thing we did, though, because it was more than 2 years before anything else was done on Chapel Hill Road by either the city government or the county government. The second problem we had is we felt like that some intersection improvements needed to be made on Chapel Hill Road. We felt like if we could do these turn lanes, accel, decel lanes, traffic signals, that this would make the road a lot safer and would increase traffic flow. But the consultant firm's priorities did not include this type of work to be something to be done in the near future. Most of the recommendations by that report were for major improvements on the road, and frankly here in 2011 they haven't been done and probably won't be done for some years to come. But we wanted to go forward with the improvements that needed, in our opinion, to be made to certain intersections. Some of this work was out in the unincorporated area, And the city took the initiative to work with the County Board of Commissioners, the County Department of Transportation to get their cooperation. County didn't put any money in the project, but they did work with us. And so we were able to do the intersection improvements that you find there at Grace Lake, at Gulf Ridge Boulevard, at Chapel Crossing on Chapel Hill Road, and at Stewart's Crossing on Stewart Mill Road. This work cost the city $1,865,108, and I think it certainly was well worth it. Now, in fiscal year 2009, we did another project on Chapel Hill Road, and that was to make improvements from I-20 southward to just south of Stewart Mill Road. And if you travel Chapel Hill Road, you know that most of that work was centered to do further improvements of the intersection of Chapel Hill Road with Douglas Boulevard and Timber Ridge Drive. This project was $1,872,000, of which city SPLOST funds $1,256,000. We got $616,000 from GDOT for this work. Now, if you think back only 4 or 5 years ago, and then come forward to this point, there's been a lot of development south of I-20, most of it being new subdivisions in the unincorporated area of Douglas County. And if we had not made those intersection improvements and the other improvements on Chapel Hill Road, certainly it would be far more difficult for motorists on that to use that road at this time. Now, one final thing let me mention. Remember I said the city had reciprocated for the $200,000 the county had provided to us on Hospital Drive. Well, the city had agreed to provide 1/4 of the local funds for a major project the county was going to do, Chapel Hill Road, Central Church Road, Bomar Road. Recently, we did send a check to the county for $179,415, which was 1/4 of the local share of this project. County paid $717,000. GDOT actually put in more than $1.2 million on this project. Also, we gave the county $200,000 on the county's project to redo the intersection of Presley Mill Road and Timber Ridge Drive. And that money, the $379,000, came out of the city's general fund reserves. Now, using SPLOST dollars and funds from GDOT through GDOT's local assistance programs for resurfacing, the city since 2003 has completed the largest street resurfacing project program in the city's history. More than 44 miles of local streets have been resurfaced. SPLOST funds provided more than $1.5 million for this. GDOT's LAU and LARC programs provided the remaining $468,000. I won't try to list all of those streets. I can tell you there were streets in every part of the city of Douglasville that were included. So basically, if a street in your part of town's been resurfaced in the last 8 years, it was undoubtedly part of the program I'm talking about. Unfortunately, GDOT's fiscal problems have resulted in a major curtailment of its local assistance program for resurfacing. No new SPLOST program is coming for Douglasville, Douglas County over the next several years, because you remember the voters back in November of 2009 approved a new SPLOST program to finance the construction of a new county jail and sheriff's department facilities. So it's going to be very limited amount of transportation dollars available, even including for resurfacing. Now, other than street resurfacing, when we started the SPLOST program, one of the first projects that we did was under the Livable Centers Initiative, the LCI program that is focused on downtown Douglasville. Sidewalks, pedestrian safety measures, including street lights, intersection improvements, also streetscapes. All of this work was a key part of the LCI program. And the Atlanta Regional Commission, ARC, provided 80% of the funds for a lot of this work. These were federal transportation dollars. The city had to do a 20% local match for part of this, and we had to pay for all of certain preliminary work. We were one of the first 10 local governments in the metro area to be approved for a Livable Centers Initiative, LCI, planning grant. and we moved forward with this. In fact, Douglasville was the first local government in the metro area to receive implementation money under the LCI program. And we received funds over a 3-year period. In total, we received more than $2.1 million through the Atlanta Regional Commission for LCI projects in and near downtown. And to match this, we used $637,000 in SPLOST. So the total amount that was expended for the LCI program was almost $2.8 million. Show you how time flies. Douglasville currently is in the midst of a 10-year update of its Livable Centers Initiative program, this being financed with a $30,000 grant from Atlanta Regional Commission coupled with $10,000 local matching funds from the city's general fund. Now, in addition to the sidewalks that we did through the Livable Centers Initiative program, we've also expanded our sidewalk program under SPLOST, using SPLOST funds to help with this. In the past 8 years, a mixture of SPLOST funds, GDOT funds, and city general funds. In fact, the only funds we have left with the 2002 SPLOST program are to finish up about 3 or 4 sidewalk projects. But the system of sidewalks we now have in Douglasville, you can go from the Arbor Place Mall area, the Arbor Station subdivision, over to Fairburn Road, past the courthouse and the hospital, along certain sections of Fairburn Road, through the downtown area, up into the north side, all the way to Jesse Davis Park. So we now have a lot of sidewalks in Douglasville that we have built in the last few years, and the projects that are still to be done later in this year, we have along Arbor Parkway, a section of Stewart Parkway, south of I-20, Club Drive near the downtown area, and part of Malone Road on the north side. Now, according to the City Finance Department, the overall amount that we've budgeted for these sidewalks, not included what we had in the Livable Centers Initiative program, was $1.3 million. The total from SPLOST was $274,000, SPLOST in the city's general fund, and then we had a little over $1 million in grant funds from GDOT to do this work. Now, before I move to the next part of my report on transportation projects, we're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, I'll be joined by Jeff Knowles, the city's Development Services Director, and we'll be talking about some other transportation projects. So please stay tuned. Welcome back on the agenda, and Jeff Knowles, City Development Services Director. Welcome to this edition of this program.
Thanks for having me.
Jeff, as you know, my report today is on transportation projects, and we're talking about basically the city's 2002 SPLOST program on what's been done as we look at wrapping up the SPLOST program. And I want to start our conversation today by focusing on a project that is been for the last few years the #1 transportation project, not only for the city of Douglasville, but also for Douglas County Chamber of Commerce. What I'm talking about, of course, is the Georgia Highway 92 relocation project. I know you and City Community and Downtown Services Director Marcia Hampton spent a lot of hours over the past 18 months on this project. We seem to be near the finish line from the perspective of the city being able to hand this project off to Georgia Department of Transportation to move ahead with the final engineering, right-of-way acquisition, and the start of construction. But we're not going to go back on today's program 20 years ago when the city and GDOT were talking about how this plan might be done that would actually give us our first grade separation crossing in Douglasville with getting over the under the Norfolk Southern Railroad tracks. You know, this project's changed a number of times down through the years. Sometimes it's been more lanes than others, but a lot of changes. In fact, by the time the 2002 referendum was held to come up with SPLOST funds, we'd already spent more than $1.6 million on preliminary engineering on this project. more changes had to be done. And you know, over the next few years, we spent another $1.284 million on revising plans that were needed so we could go forward. But I want to zero in on August the 1st, 2009, because that's when Congressman David Scott had a big public hearing, and that changed everything with momentum. It actually gave us momentum, and you were involved certainly very much since then. So tell us what happened in those several weeks after August the 1st that really changed the atmosphere about this program.
It really was the catalyst for the entire, what was to come over, like you said, the next 18 months. The plans, you hate to say it's the easy part, but honestly it was the easy part, getting the plans approved by GDOT. It's the environmental document. It's satisfying federal highway that we've met with the community, and the community is embracing the project. That was the part that they had felt that was deficient in the project. That's why we kept going back to the drawing board a number of times. But like you said, August 1st, 2009, Congressman Scott came out and he kicked off what was to begin really a public information campaign. After that, after his meeting, we had a number of stakeholder group meetings. We developed a stakeholder group, which we had never had before in this project. I think we had 4 meetings with them over a period of about 2 weeks. Once we basically had set forth a plan for meeting with the community and informing them, we began a public information campaign that basically had 10 meetings over about 2 months in all different parts of the community that were affected, and even some that were not affected by the project, which was basically in the fall of 2009. And then it was all culminated with a public hearing open house in June of 2010, right. Where we put everything that we had heard from the community about what they liked, what they didn't like about the project, and how they could accept it as part of their community on paper and on plan, and brought it to the community and showed them what it was that was going to be happening in the community over the next probably 10 or 20 years.
Right. And of course, from a public standpoint, things have been relatively quiet over the past few months, but I know that our staff and consultants, GDOT, Congressman Scott's office, y'all have been doing a lot of work. Where are we at this time, and what's likely to happen over the next few months?
We have, like you said, continued to meet with our consultants. We do have a monthly, we have 2 monthly meetings that are associated with this project, and our consultants are continuously working, submitting documents back and forth with GDOT, and that's what's been going on since June of 2010. And we have just recently submitted our draft to Federal Highway, received comments, and then resubmitted back to Federal Highway for final review. Hope to have in early April what we've been looking for 20 years, right. A FONSI. And for those in our audience that don't know what a FONSI is, it's a finding of no significant impact. Okay. That's what allows you to kick a project off, basically. That's Federal Highway saying that you've done a good job and your project is ready to go. Right. And then what we'll do, you'll see in early summer, we haven't set a specific date for it, but in early summer there will be a public meeting about right-of-way acquisition in the community. We'll be inviting Congressman Scott out, kind of just to keep him updated with what's right. going on with the project. And all the public will be welcome to attend the project, and we'll begin the process of talking to people about what they should expect to see in the coming weeks and months with right-of-way acquisition. So the project's almost there. Right.
Well, not counting the amount of staff time that's been spent on this project, but just in terms of dollars that we've expended, engineering and other costs, our tab at the moment with local funds is $2,917,654. And while that represents a very large financial commitment for a relatively small government like Douglasville, represents a very good investment when you look at the fact that this project, in terms of the cost now for final engineering, right-of-way acquisition, and construction, is going to be somewhere in the area of $100 million yep. for this project. So to you and Ms. Hampton, keep up the good work with GDOT, and let's keep things moving forward. Now I want to turn to the final project that I want to report to today that involves SPLOST dollars. And most people will know exactly what I'm saying when I note that it sure is a lot more enjoyable to travel along Georgia Highway 5 in the area of Rose Avenue than it used to be. And that's because of all the changes that have been made there. And of course the right-of-way for this project was the responsibility of the city of Douglasville, and this is both for that intersection improvement and the connecting to the new Bright Star Road connector. City of Douglasville used SPLOST dollars for this. The cost to the city for the right-of-way acquisition and the cost related to that, $2,372,000. I think GDOT's construction cost on this project was about $2.1 million. You know, for our viewers, I don't have to remind you how terrible those conditions used to be in that area, especially around the holiday season. Yeah. And holiday season 2010, traffic generally moved very good, which I think says that this project certainly is accomplishing what we intended it to do. And that, of course, is not only that project, but also the opening of the Bright Star Road connector. And I want to move now to the Bright Star Road connector. Originally, that project was to be a SPLOST project, as you know. But with what I've described, including Hospital Drive, every penny that we had for SPLOST had been taken up by other projects. But Mayor Thompson and members of the City Council felt like that the Bright Star Road connector was so important that they committed taking funds out of the city's general fund reserves to pay for this project. And the overall cost when we finished the work that's been done to date on that project, $2,928,000. Now you've been involved in this project, and I want you to refresh our viewers' memory by identifying where the project is, its lane configuration, length. But before you start, I want to make 2 points. That Bright Star Road connector has 2 purposes. One, of course, is to relieve traffic congestion on Highway 5, Rose Avenue, Douglas Boulevard, I-20. It certainly has proven to do that. The other is to be an economic development project. It goes through what is a largely undeveloped area, that there are plans for a lot of commercial growth and other development in this area, which will provide new jobs, new stores, new offices, new opportunities in our community. And when the economy turns around, I think we'll see that this second purpose of the connector being fulfilled. Second thing I want to point out is well documented that the city and the county had some major differences of opinion over certain things about this road, but those disagreements have been resolved. Both governments have committed to work together, and we're moving forward with a cooperative spirit so that our motorists can enjoy and benefit from this 4-lane road. So give us a few comments on this project.
Bright Star Connector is a road that's just located just north of I-20, connecting both Bright Star, of course, and Highway 5. On the Bright Star side, it's approximately a quarter mile north of I-20, and on the Highway 5 side, it tees up directly, it lines up directly with our Rose Avenue project. So that we have a fully signalized 4-way intersection there. It's a little bit over a mile long, and like you said, it creates a great economic opportunity as well as a traffic alleviation. Currently, we do have a 4-lane configuration on the Highway 5 side, and as you approach the Bright Star end, traveling westbound, it does pare down into a 2-lane configuration into the south side lanes. Into the, I guess, the eastbound lanes. It pairs down into just 2 lanes on that side, and that is to accomplish basically utilizing the road to the best of our abilities while we work through, as you stated, the plans and the opportunities to improve the intersection so that everyone feels comfortable with it.
Right, and we're expecting this spring for that work to proceed. We've got to get a few things worked out with the county that we're working together on, so that road will be fully open sometime soon. But I want to give you an opportunity for any final comments you wish to make.
Just thank you, and I appreciate being on the show.
Well, appreciate you being here, Jeff, and thank you for all the work you're doing. And to our viewers, we're delighted to be able to report to you that in our opinion, the City of Douglasville has been very successful in carrying out the mission that we had with our 2002 SPLOST program in the area of transportation. Bill Osborne signing off. Have a great day.